At 0215 on June 24, 1944, Lieutenant Commander Richard O'Kane tracked 4 Japanese cargo vessels through the periscope of USS Tang, calculating firing solutions as the convoy moved through the darkness 3,200 yards ahead. 33 years old, with 2 war patrols completed. His mentor was gone. The convoy included 6 large ships escorted by 16 destroyers. O'Kane had learned submarine warfare from Dudley Morton aboard USS Wahoo. Morton had instructed him in tactics that defied Navy doctrine: attack from within convoys rather than from safe flanks where the manual said submarines should operate. Penetrate formations, fire forward, fire aft, use confusion as cover. Morton was lost now. Wahoo sank 3 months after O'Kane left to command Tang. 79 men lost in October 1943. The Pacific Fleet's finest commander had disappeared beneath the Sea of Japan. O'Kane inherited more than tactics, he inherited a responsibility. Tang's first patrol in February had shown promise: 5 ships sunk, 16 torpedoes fired, 16 hits. But the Imperial Japanese Navy was adapting. Convoys traveled with heavier escorts. Captains zigzagged relentlessly. Depth charges dropped faster. The second patrol in April produced nothing. 0 attacks. Tang rescued 22 downed Navy pilots near Truk during carrier operations. Critical work. 0 tonnage. This third patrol demanded results. O'Kane navigated Tang into Yellow Sea waters between Korea and China. Japanese supply lines ran thick here, either from Manchuria or elsewhere, moving troops to China and convoys southward. On June 21, Tang spotted a solitary freighter. A single torpedo at close range sent Nanshin Maru to the bottom in 4 minutes. 2 days later, another lone target. O'Kane fired from 750 yards. Nikken Maru split in half, yet O'Kane hungered for larger prey, heavily guarded formations that others avoided. Now, at 0215 on June 24, he had 6 cargo ships, 16 destroyers, enough tonnage to make history. Tang closed the gap. 2,800 yards. 2,400, O'Kane ordered battle stations. Fire control plotted solutions. Torpedo men braced themselves. 2,000 yards. O'Kane gave the command: surface attack, full speed. Tang surged from darkness directly into the convoy. No submarine commander dared attack convoys this way. It violated every safety rule. O'Kane launched 3 torpedoes at the closest cargo ship, then shifted aim and fired 3 more at the second target. Explosions erupted before he could confirm hits. 2 cargo vessels ignited. Then O'Kane noticed something unexpected: 4 ships were ablaze. Not 2, 4. The torpedo spread had exceeded calculations. His weapons pierced intended targets and struck 2 additional freighters behind them: Tamahoko Maru, Tainan Maru, Nasusan Maru, Kenichi Maru. 16,292 tons obliterated in 90 seconds. Tang Dove as escorts converged. Depth charges pounded the hull for 20 minutes. 4 ships in a single attack, the most devastating strike any American submarine had ever achieved. That night changed everything. O'Kane proved Morton's aggressive tactics worked. For the rest of June, Tang hunted relentlessly. June 25, another freighter down. June 30, 2 kills in 12 hours. By July 3, Tang returned home with 10 ships sunk, 39,000 tons, the most successful war patrol ever completed. O'Kane's 4th patrol in August added 5 more vessels. His 5th patrol in September would shatter every remaining record, but that final mission would see 24 torpedoes fired, 22 perfect hits, 1 miss, and the last torpedo veering at 46 knots, racing back toward Tang in darkness. Tang arrived at Pearl Harbor on July 12, 1944. 10 ships sunk, 39,000 tons, patrol lasting 34 days. Admiral Charles Lockwood met O'Kane at the dock. The sub-pack commander had reviewed every patrol report. No American submarine had ever recorded 10 confirmed kills in a single mission. Lockwood recommended O'Kane for the Navy Cross. Yet the numbers only told part of the story. O'Kane's tactics defied standard doctrine. Submarines were supposed to strike from outside convoy formations, remain at periscope depth, fire from safe distance, and dive immediately. O'Kane surfaced amidst enemy convoys, fired point-blank, and engaged multiple targets before diving. Every rule Morton broke on Wahoo, O'Kane broke on Tang. Some called it reckless, others revolutionary. Tang underwent 3 weeks of maintenance. Fresh torpedoes loaded, engines overhauled, 2 crew members replaced those requesting transfers. O'Kane's aggressive style wasn't for everyone. On August 4, Tang departed for her 4th war patrol, destination, Japanese home waters off Honshu. This zone was more perilous. Closer to Japan meant heavier air patrols, more destroyers, better trained anti-submarine crews. American submarines operating near the home islands faced triple the risk of southern patrols. O'Kane ignored risk calculations, he chased tonnage. On August 10, Tang spotted a tanker near Omizaki. O'Kane fired 3 torpedoes, all missed. The tanker zigzagged unpredictably. Tang dove as escorts approached. First miss of O'Kane's career, and it wouldn't be the last. August 11th, another convoy appeared, 2 freighters, 2 escorts. O'Kane targeted the larger freighter. 3 torpedoes struck. The ship exploded violently, debris landing on Tang's deck. Rukomaru, 6,000 tons. 5 minutes later, the second freighter, 2 torpedoes, both hits. Nansatumaru sank stern first. August 22nd, a patrol yacht. Small target, 1 torpedo, direct hit, yacht obliterated. August 23rd, Tang tracked a large transport. Japanese servicemen in white uniforms lined the superstructure. O'Kane fired 3 torpedoes, 2 struck beneath the stack. Tokushimaru, 8,135 tons. 5th, final attack of the patrol, tanker and escort. O'Kane used his last 3 torpedoes. Tanker Nango Nanomaru exploded, escort fled. Tang returned to Pearl Harbor on September 3rd. 5 ships sunk in 1 month. In total, 20 ships over 4 patrols. Most submarine commanders completed 6 to 8 patrols over the war. O'Kane sank 20 ships in 7 months. Admiral Lockwood offered O'Kane a shore assignment, teaching at the submarine school, staff duty, or any position away from combat. O'Kane requested 1 more patrol. Lockwood approved. Tang would depart September 24th for the Formosa Strait, the most heavily defended passage in the Western Pacific. O'Kane spent 3 weeks preparing, studying convoy routes, analyzing escort patterns, and calculating torpedo angles for the narrow passage between Formosa and mainland China. 24 Mark 18 electric torpedoes, the latest model, loaded aboard Tang, no wake, harder for lookouts to detect. But the Mark 18 had one known flaw: under 1% of the time, the steering mechanism failed, causing torpedoes to circle. On September 24th, Tang slipped out of Pearl Harbor before dawn, 87 men aboard. Only 9 would return. Tang refueled at Midway on September 27. O'Kane reviewed mission orders, target area between northwest Formosa and China's coast. Japanese convoys funneled through this narrow channel, yet reaching it meant traversing entirely enemy-controlled waters. Minefields stretched northeast from Formosa for 60 miles. Japanese patrol boats constantly swept the approaches. Submarines entering faced triple the usual detection risk. O'Kane had 2 options: join a coordinated attack led by Commander Coy aboard USS Silverides, for submarines together, safety in numbers, or go solo. O'Kane chose solo. Tang departed Midway on September 27, heading west. No contact with other American vessels, radio silence except for emergencies, rendering Tang invisible to Japanese direction-finding stations. For 12 days, Tang navigated enemy waters. October passed in tense quiet. Sonar operators listened for patrol boats, radar scanned for aircraft. Crew rotated 4 hours on watch, 4 hours off. October 10th, Tang reached operational zone undetected. O'Kane brought the sub to periscope depth, surveyed the channel. Empty waters, no targets. That night at 2,200 hours, radar detected multiple contacts, a convoy. O'Kane closed in. Through the periscope, he counted cargo ships, 2 medium freighters heading south along the China coast. Tang surfaced, battle stations sounded. 3:30, Tang fired 4 torpedoes. 2 hits on the first freighter, Joshua erupted in flames. The second freighter, Amaru, hit amidships, sank in 6 minutes. 2 ships down, first blood of the 5th patrol. Tang dove and cleared the area. Japanese escorts dropped depth charges for 40 minutes, none came close. When Tang resurfaced at 0300, the burning wrecks had vanished beneath the waves. Over the next 13 days, Tang patrolled the strait. October 11th to 22nd passed with minor contacts, small fishing boats, lone patrol craft, nothing worth a torpedo. O'Kane pushed Tang deeper toward Formosa, closer to Japanese air bases, risk mounting with each mile north. October 23, 1700 hours, radar detected a massive formation. 3 tankers, 1 transport, 1 freighter, at least 8 escort destroyers, maybe more, the largest convoy Tang had seen since the Yellow Sea Patrol. O'Kane called the crew to battle stations. This attack would occur at night, surface engagement. The same tactics that worked in June. But this convoy was different. Heavier escorts, tighter formation, captains hardened by previous American submarine attacks. Tang tracked the convoy for 6 hours. O'Kane plotted approach angles, fire control calculated solutions for multiple targets. Torpedo men prepared tubes. At 2,300 hours, O'Kane gave the order. Surface full speed. Tang broke from darkness and charged directly into the formation. The night exploded in violence. O'Kane fired at the nearest tanker. 2 torpedoes struck under the stack and engine room. The vessel erupted in flames so bright they illuminated the entire convoy. O'Kane shifted aim. Single torpedo into the stern of the middle tanker. Direct hit. 2 more torpedoes at the farthest tanker. Both struck under the engine. Space. 3 tankers burning. The attack had lasted 90 seconds. Then a Japanese transport turned directly toward Tang full speed attempting to ram. There was no time to dive. O'Kane ordered emergency maneuvers. Tang's diesel engine screamed as the submarine accelerated hard to port. The Japanese transport loomed 300 yards away, closing fast. Tang turned inside the transport's turning radius. The enemy captain tried to compensate. Too late. The transport's momentum carried it past Tang's stern, missing by less than 50 yards. But the transport's course now aimed directly at one of the burning tankers. The 2 vessels collided with a sound that echoed across the water. Metal shrieking against the metal. O'Kane didn't wait to watch. He aimed Tang's stern tubes at both crippled ships. 2 torpedoes fired. Both hit. The transport and tanker went down together. 5 ships destroyed in one attack. A destroyer raced toward Tang's position. O'Kane ordered crash dive. Tanks emerged in 45 seconds. Depth. Charges began falling. 37 explosions in 20 minutes. The closest detonation cracked light fixtures in the control room. When silence returned, O'Kane brought Tang back to periscope. Depth. Dawn approached. The convoy remnants had scattered. Burning oil slicked the water for miles. Tang dove deep and headed east. The crew needed rest. O'Kane needed to count remaining torpedoes. 18 torpedoes fired. On the 5th patrol, 6 remaining. October 24th arrived. Tang surfaced at 0600. Morning sun revealed empty water. O'Kane ordered a course change north along the China coast. At 1,400 hours, lookout spotted smoke on the horizon. Another convoy. O'Kane tracked the formation through the periscope. This convoy was smaller but more heavily escorted. 3 cargo ships, 1 tanker, multiple destroyers. In tight defensive formation, Tang followed at periscope depth throughout the afternoon. O'Kane waited for darkness. Night attacks had worked twice. They would work again. 1,800 hours sunset. 1,900 hours full darkness. 2,200 hours. O'Kane ordered battle stations. 2,300 hours. Tang surfaced 1,500 yards from the convoy. O'Kane aimed at the lead cargo ship. 2 torpedoes fired. Both hit. The freighter broke in half. Tang turned toward the second target. O'Kane fired 2 more torpedoes. 1 hit the cargo ship's stern. The vessel listed heavily but remained afloat. 2 torpedoes left. A destroyer detected Tang's position. The escort turned toward the submarine at flank speed. Distance closing. 800 yards, 700. O'Kane aimed Tang's final 2 torpedoes at the charging destroyer. Both weapons launched. Both missed. The destroyer was too close, too fast. Torpedoes needed time and distance to arm. Tang dove. Depth charges hammered the hull. 53 explosions, the worst barrage of the patrol. Tang survived, but now only empty torpedo tubes remained. O'Kane surfaced 2 hours later. The convoy had escaped. 2 ships damaged, 1 sunk. Not enough. He checked the torpedo room inventory 1 final time. Every tube empty, every torpedo expended. No, wait. The crew had miscounted earlier. 1 Mark 18 torpedo remained in the aft torpedo room. Tube number 8. The last weapon aboard Tang. O'Kane scanned the horizon. Dawn approached in 3 hours. If another convoy appeared, Tang would have one final chance. At 0200 on October 25, radar detected multiple contacts, 5 ships heading south. O'Kane called battle stations for the last time. Tang had 1 torpedo left. 1 chance, 1 final attack that would either complete the most successful patrol in submarine warfare history or end with nothing. O'Kane ordered Tang to surface and closed the distance. The last torpedo was already being loaded into tube 8. Tang closed on the convoy at flank speed. O'Kane identified 5 ships through the periscope. 2 cargo vessels, 2 transports, 1 large tanker. Destroyer escorts flanked the formation. Distance 2,200 yards. O'Kane climbed to the bridge. Night surface. Attack. The same approach that had worked on October 23. Drive into the formation. Fire at point-blank range. Use confusion as cover. Tang accelerated. 1,800 yards. 1,500. The convoy maintained course. No indication they detected the submarine. 1,200 yards. O'Kane ordered the first shot. Tube 1 fired. The torpedo ran straight toward the nearest transport. 20 seconds later, an explosion lit the night. The transport stern lifted from the water as secondary explosions tore through cargo holds. O'Kane shifted aim. The second transport crossed Tang's bow. Tube 2 fired. Direct hit amidships. The transport began listing immediately 1,000 yards from the convoy center now. The tanker loomed ahead. Largest target remaining. O'Kane aimed for the engine room. Tube 3 fired. The torpedo struck under the stack. Flame erupted 300 feet into the air as aviation fuel ignited. Tang turned hard to port. The two cargo ships steamed parallel to the submarine's new course. Perfect firing position. O'Kane launched tubes 4 and 5 in quick succession. Both torpedoes hit. One cargo ship exploded. The second began sinking bow first. 5 ships hit. 23 torpedoes fired on the patrol. 22 had found targets. 1 miss against the destroyer, but Tub 8 still held one Mark 118, the last torpedo aboard Tang. A destroyer escort broke formation and charged Tang's position. Distance, 800 yards. The escort's deck guns opened fire. Shells splashed near Tang's conning tower. O'Kane aimed the final torpedo at the charging destroyer. Fire control calculated the solution. Speed 26 knots. Range 700 yards, bearing 035 degree. At 0230 on October 25, 1944, O'Kane gave the order. Fire Tube 8. The Mark 1-18 torpedo launched. Electric motor engaged. No wake trail. Silent run. 3 seconds, the weapon tracked perfectly toward the destroyer. Then the torpedo broached the surface. O'Kane watched through binoculars as the weapon's propeller broke above the waterline. The torpedo curved left, not a gentle turn, a sharp arc back toward Tang. Circular run. O'Kane screamed orders. Emergency power. Full right rudder. Tang began turning hard to starboard. The submarine screws churned water as diesel engines pushed maximum thrust. The torpedo completed its arc, now racing directly at Tang. Distance 400 yards, speed 46 knots, 300 yards. Tang's turn couldn't happen fast enough. The submarine needed 60 seconds to complete the maneuver. The torpedo would reach Tang in 200 yards. Crewmen on the bridge saw it coming. A white phosphorescent trail in the dark water heading straight for the aft torpedo room. 100 yards. O'Kane ordered everyone to brace. Some men jumped overboard. Others grabbed stanchions. Torpedo man Hayes Trucker watched from the bridge as Tang's own weapon closed the final distance. 50 yard. 20 seconds had elapsed since launch, the same amount of time Tang's other 23 torpedoes had needed to reach their targets. 20 yard. The Mark 18 struck Tang's stern 3 feet below the waterline, directly beside the aft torpedo room where the weapon had been loaded minutes earlier. The explosion tore through 3 compartments instantly. The explosion threw men against bulkheads. Control room personnel felt the impact through steel decking. Lights shattered. Circuit breakers sparked. The stern dropped. Immediately, water flooded the aft torpedo room in seconds. Then the after engine room, then the maneuvering room. 3 compartments gone before damage control could react. Tang began sinking. Stern first. 9 officers and men occupied the bridge when the torpedo hit. O'Kane was among them. The force of the explosion hurled 3 men overboard. 6 remained on the bridge as Tang went down. 180 feet of water below. The submarine sank in 45 seconds. Tang hit bottom at 0231, 1 minute after the torpedo struck. The impact sent shock waves through the remaining compartments. Men in the forward sections felt the collision with the seafloor. Of the 9 men thrown from the bridge, only 3 survived in the water long enough to be rescued. O'Kane was one. Lieutenant Lawrence Savitkin was another. Motor machinists mate Jesse Dilva made 3. 1 officer escaped from the flooded conning tower. Lieutenant Junior Grade Henry Flanagan fought his way through rising water and burst to the surface. For survivors floating in oil-slicked water, Japanese destroyer escorts closed on their position. Inside Tang, 30 men remained alive in the forward torpedo room. The aft sections had flooded completely. 78 men died in the initial explosion or drowned in the flooded compartments. The 30 survivors faced a choice: stay inside and suffocate when air ran out, or attempt escape from 180 foot down using Momsun lungs. The Unsung was an emergency breathing device developed in 1929 after USS 4 sank with all hands. A rubber bag connected to a mouthpiece. Sailors filled the bag with oxygen, placed the mouthpiece between their teeth, and swam to the surface. The device recycled exhaled breath through a carbon dioxide absorbent. No one had ever successfully escaped a submarine using Unsung lungs in combat conditions. Training scenarios used shallow water, controlled environments. Tang rested at 180 feet, 3 times deeper than any training exercise. The survivors began preparations. They burned classified documents, destroyed codebooks, opened the forward escape trunk. Then they waited. A Japanese patrol vessel circled overhead, dropping depth charges. The explosions triggered an electrical fire in the forward battery compartment. Heat intensified. Paint on bulkheads began melting. At 0400, 2 hours after Tang sank, the Japanese patrol vessel moved away. The first man entered the escape trunk. Motor machinist mate Clayton Decker went first. He secured the Unsung lung, flooded the trunk, opened the outer hatch. The pressure equalized. Decker released the buoy line and began ascending. The climb took 12 minutes, 10 feet at a time. Stop. Count to 10. Continue. Breathing became difficult at 60 feet. The pain passed. At 40 feet, Decker could see moonlight filtering through the water. He broke the surface at 4:15. 1 hour 45 minutes after Tang sank, 12 more men followed Decker through the escape trunk. 13 total attempted the ascent. Only 8 reached the surface alive. 5 men died during the climb. Lung ruptures, air embolisms, nitrogen narcosis. By 0600, 9 men floated in the water. O'Kane, Savitkin, Flanagan, Dilva, Decker. Radio technician Floyd Caverly, Bow Swain's mate William Liebold, Torpedo. Hayes Trucker, Torpedo Pete Narawansky, 9 survivors from 87 crew. At 7:30, a Japanese destroyer escort arrived. The Japanese destroyer escort Tachikaz pulled the 9 Americans from the water. Sailors hauled them aboard one by one. O'Kane climbed onto the deck last. His legs barely functioned after 8 hours in the ocean. On Tachikaz's deck, Japanese sailors formed a gauntlet. The Americans walked between 2 lines. Fists struck faces, boots connected with ribs, clubs struck shoulders and backs. Then O'Kane understood why. Japanese survivors from the ship's Tang had occupied the destroyer, burned men, wounded men, sailors pulled from burning tankers and exploding cargo ships. They recognized the submarine insignia on American uniforms. The beatings intensified. O'Kane later wrote that once he realized the men assaulting them were survivors of Tang's torpedoes, the brutality became easier to endure. These men had every reason for fury. The beatings lasted for 3 hours. Then guards confined the Americans in a storage compartment below deck. No food, no water, no medical attention. Tachikaz steamed toward Formosa. The Americans spent 4 days in the storage hold. On October 29, guards transferred them to a transport ship bound for Japan. The voyage lasted 2 weeks. On November 13, the transport docked at Yokohama. Guards moved the prisoners to Ofuna Interrogation Center, 30 miles southwest of Tokyo. Ofuna was a secret facility. The International Red Cross had no knowledge of its existence. Japan never reported the camp's location or prisoner numbers. Men sent to Ofuna officially did not exist. The 9 Tang survivors joined 60 other Allied prisoners, Navy pilots shot down over the Pacific, the 29 crewmen captured after bombing raids, submarine sailors from other lost vessels. Interrogations commenced immediately. Japanese intelligence officers questioned O'Kane for 6 hours each day, demanding convoy routes, radio frequencies, submarine tactics, recognition codes. O'Kane revealed nothing beyond his name, rank, and serial number. Interrogators increased the pressure. Food rations were reduced to a single bowl of rice per day. Guards prohibited all prisoner communication. Solitary confinement lasted weeks. December arrived. American B-29 bombers appeared over Tokyo almost daily. Ofuna had no air raid shelters. Prisoners remained locked in cells during attacks. Bombs fell within 2 miles of the camp. January 1945 brought transfer orders. Guards moved the Tang survivors from Ofuna to Omori prisoner camp on Tokyo Bay. Omori held 800 Allied prisoners. Conditions were slightly better than Ofuna, 2 rice bowls per day instead of 1. Prisoners could speak to each other, but disease spread through overcrowded barracks, dysentery, beriberi, pneumonia. Medical supplies were non-existent. Men died weekly from malnutrition and untreated infections. O'Kane watched his crew deteriorate. Dilva developed beriberi. Kavli contracted pneumonia. All 9 men lost between 30 and 50 pounds. Spring arrived. American bombing raids intensified. B-29s struck Tokyo nightly. Fires consumed entire city blocks. Guards became increasingly erratic. Food rations were reduced further. Summer brought news: Germany had surrendered in May. American forces captured Okinawa in June. Japan faced invasion. August 6, guards reported an unusual bombing: 1 aircraft, 1 bomb. Hiroshima destroyed. August 9, another single bomb. Nagasaki destroyed. August 15, Emperor Hirohito announced surrender over the radio. The war ended. August 29, American forces arrived at Omori. Medics examined the prisoners, most required immediate hospitalization. September 2, Japan signed surrender documents aboard USS Missouri. The 9 Tang survivors boarded a hospital ship bound for Pearl Harbor. They had spent 10 months in Japanese captivity. All 9 survived to return home, but Tang remained on the bottom of the Formosa Strait with 78 crew members who never escaped. O'Kane returned to the United States in October 1945. Doctors treated him for malnutrition and injuries sustained during captivity. He spent 6 weeks at Naval Hospital San Diego. On March 27, 1946, President Harry Truman presented O'Kane with the Medal of Honor in a ceremony on the White House lawn. The citation recognized O'Kane's actions during Tang's final 2 engagements on October 23 and 24. The Navy revised Tang's war record using post-war analysis of Japanese shipping logs. Original credit: 31 ships sunk, 227,000 tons. Revised total: 33 ships sunk, 116,454 tons. Tang became the most successful American submarine of World War II, both by number of ships and total tonnage sunk. USS Tang ranked first in both categories. USS Tautog ranked second in ships sunk with 26 vessels. USS Flasher ranked second in tonnage with 100,000 tons. O'Kane ranked number 1 among all American submarine commanders. No other captain matched his record. Tang also received 2 Presidential Unit citations and 4 battle stars for wartime service. O'Kane continued naval service after the war. He commanded submarine tender USS Peleas, testified at Japanese war crimes trials, served as executive officer of USS Nereus, commanded Submarine Division 32, attended Armed Forces Staff College, taught at the Submarine School in New London, and commanded submarine tender USS Sperry. He retired as Rear Admiral in 1957. The tactics O'Kane learned from Morton became standard submarine doctrine: surface attacks, aggressive positioning, firing from inside convoy formations. Every submarine commander after 1944 studied Tang's patrol reports. O'Kane wrote 2 books about his service: Clear the Bridge detailed Tang's war patrols, and Wahoo documented his time as Morton's executive officer. Both books became required reading at the Naval Academy. The Navy named the destroyer USS O'Kane DDG-77 in his honor. The ship was commissioned in 1999 and remains in active service. O'Kane died on February 16, 1994, at age 83. He was buried at Arlington National Cemetery. Tang's wreck remains undiscovered. The submarine rests in 180 feet of water off the China coast. Salvage attempts never occurred due to political tensions in the Formosa Strait. The National World War II Museum in New Orleans created an interactive exhibit called Final Mission: USS Tang's Submarine Experience. Visitors enter a recreation of Tang's interior and receive cards corresponding to one of the 87 crew members. The exhibit depicts the events of October 24 and 25, including the circular run of the final torpedo. Tang's casualty list includes 78 names: men who died when the torpedo struck, men who drowned in flooded compartments, men who perished attempting escape from 180 feet down. The 9 survivors carried those names for the rest of their lives. If this story moved you as it moved us, do a favor, hit that like button. Every like tells YouTube to show this story to more people. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications. We're rescuing forgotten stories from dusty archives every day, stories of submariners who broke records with courage and aggression. Real people, real heroism. Drop a comment now and tell us where you're watching from. Are you in the United States, United Kingdom, Canada, or Australia? Our community spans the globe. You're not just a viewer, you're helping keep these memories alive. Tell us your location. Tell us if someone in your family served. Just let us know you're here.
Thank you for watching, and thank you for helping ensure Commander O'Kane and Tang's crew are never forgotten.
These men deserve remembrance, and you are making that happen.